Welcome back to the All Out NRL Fantasy podcast. Mick, a different setup for us this week with TLT podcast. No Bents, he's in Europe, but it's Origin 2 week. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. Best time of the year, really.
I think it is. I mean, the team, we're going to talk about Origin in a different podcast, which will be out Wednesday. But we'll do a little bit of a review or preview, should I say, for Wednesday night. New South Wales have picked a pretty good team, man. I'm quite scared. Obviously, the Latrell makes us very nervous. We touched on that. What are your thoughts on the team and the scoreline that you're going to go with?
Yeah, I think New South Wales definitely got it right for Game 2 in terms of the team they picked. We know what Latrell can do.
Oh, yeah, big time.
In the Origin arena, I think 2 years ago, absolutely torched us. I am scared. Complacency is obviously an issue, but we did win Game 2 last year.
Yep, big time.
That wasn't Queensland, obviously, but I think it's going to be a close one. Or Queensland by 2.
I tipped Queensland as well, mate, as a Queenslander, but with zero confidence. I'm very nervous myself. I think Cameron Murray's a massive in for New South Wales.
Yeah, I agree.
He's an absolute star. He fits the Origin mould. He's a very dynamic and fast player, which is what you need at Origin. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 80 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I like Moses as well. His kicking game's very sound. That's what they missed in Game 1.
Yep.
Especially with Nico. He just wasn't kicking well.
Look, we'll touch on Origin, like we said, on a different podcast coming up on Wednesday, but we're here for TLT round 17. Now, mate, you got the all-out team up on your screen. We did quite well. We're coming from the clouds here.
We talked about Chautauqua
yeah.
a few weeks ago. Yeah, we got... What score did we get specifically? We got 835 in a bye round, which is great.
With 12 players, not 13.
Exactly. So I think out of people playing 12 players, we probably got the best score.
Yeah.
We got 255th.
Sure.
255th out of everyone.
In round 17, yeah.
We're coming 3,800th overall. So we're coming.
Yeah, we are.
And I'd be worried.
I mean, if you look at our score, there wasn't one person that probably did poorly. Our worst score was 39 with AFB, and then Max King got a 41, but Cook got 82, Tarpany got 74, Galvin 75, two tries for him, Hughes 74, Jaden Campbell obviously topped the round with 89. We brought him in.
Best trades we've done.
Oh, definitely best trades we've ever done. But we look on to round 17 this week. There's 3 teams with a bye: Manly, Manly Titans, and off the top of my head,
Rabbits.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's a bit frustrating with our buys as well.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? There was always going to happen, and the Rabbits don't have another bye for the rest of the year. So that's a good news for them. Let's have a look at Bulldogs Sharks team list. Obviously, if you don't have Nico Hines, I'd almost say he's a must-have this week. I don't like his break-even, Mick, but is he a must-have? You just can't go without him these days, can you?
Yeah, I think if you people to sold him, obviously you can wait to buy him
you
back
can
for
wait.
a few weeks.
113 break-even it is, so it is definitely very high, but you wouldn't want to be sitting without him for very long.
He just clocks up points. Like even when with eye test, he doesn't look like he's playing great. You look at his fantasy scores and he's on 70.
Yep.
I think you get him in sooner rather than later. Just having that captaincy set and forget is so handy. But as I said, you can probably wait a few weeks.
For the doggies, Bronson Zeri's back, or Cherry, however you want to say it. I still don't know how to say it.
Good correction.
Yeah, whatever. Another big news is Stephen Crichton. Anyone who has Stephen Crichton is in 6.7% of teams. He's probably the only one from Origin who has been named to not back up. He is amongst the reserve lists. So I know it's only 6.7% of you, but one to take note of there.
Yep.
The fish of the week, the original fish of the week, Jamin Salmon. He's staying around probably for another week.
He lingers.
He continues to lingers.
He refuses to go off.
Well, Matty Burton's been named, obviously not being selected. Was he one that you were a bit surprised that he didn't get selected?
I was very surprised he wasn't on the bench, but I sort of get it with Connor Watson. Like you don't really want too much versatility when you need like big boys on the bench.
Yep.
I was surprised Serraldo put him at centre on the weekend.
Yeah.
Like I know he's versatile, but I think he is generally a better six.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Hutcho with respect to the
guy. What did
Karaz
play on the weekend? Did he play in the centres as well, Karaz, or he played on the wing, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
So he's been named at centre, which sort of impacts his score. He was really struggling at centre at the start of the year when we picked him up. Thought he was going to be a much better base at centre, but he's been eating on the wing compared to centre. So that's a bit of disappointing news.
He's proven to be a great hold.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, 680K he is now. And for the Sharks, he's the same 17 for the Sharkies. Obviously, we touched on Hines, Nikora as well. The Sharkies play the round 19 bye. So if you haven't got Sharks players in like Nikora or Hines, it's starting to get to that point where you got to get them in your teams.
Teague Wilton's in the wider reserves. I know a few people bought Talakai a few weeks ago, and that was diabolical.
Yeah, big diabolical.
Just a note for the Bulldogs, Preston named as a replacement player.
Yep.
So people who held him would be inclined to hold another week, obviously.
Yeah, big time. I mean, the biggest news coming out of TLT this morning was that Sean Johnson has suffered an Achilles injury, out for 4 weeks. Look, diabolical news if you held SJ for that long period because he is gone again.
Elephant in the room.
Is it time to give it up,
Are the
SJ?
Wars better without SJ?
Well, TMM was playing some unreal footy.
It's hard to know. I'm not saying... I just think TMM is clearly better without SJ, and maybe that's what the Wars need.
Yeah.
Because they, quite frankly, I know we got a few Wars fans, but they can't deny they were absolutely terrible. That was probably the worst performance of the season.
I mean, if you're getting almost 70 put on by the Titans, I mean, there's your answer.
But like, it's coming after 2 good wins.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so surprising. And against a Titans team who've been inconsistent all year. Titans might add, we should probably talk about them as well. What the hell do they do with all their stars, like fullbacks? Like,
I wouldn't want to be Des Hazard right now. I mean, he's in a good position. And
it's a good problem to have.
I said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that the Titans are really building something up there on the Gold Coast.
I think they are.
I think
agree.
They really are. I mean, they might not have the results this year to show it, but, you know, if you probably go back in their year, they've had a few close losses, one that they should have won. They've got Carter Gordon coming, and if you don't have a rugby union background, he's a player. He can play.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Des Hasler has not changed his hair his whole career, might I add, but he knows how to coach a fullback. Like Brett Stewart, he had...
Yep.
Who did he have at the Doggies? He probably had Ben Barber.
Well, he had the Morris twins for a while as well.
Benny Barber. Like, he knows how to coach a good fullback, and he has 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's headaches for Haz, but it's going to be a good thing to have, that's for sure. The Broncos stars, Cavvy's stuck to his word. Payne Haas, Carrigan, and Reece Walsh listed among the reserves. I'd probably say that both Haas and Carrigan are definitely ruled out. Reece Walsh, I've heard, is a bit of a 50-50 call. The fact that they are playing on the Saturday definitely helps his sort of chances, but he's just got to get through Origin first. And
yeah, I expect them not to play.
Yep.
As I said, the Wars, easy win.
Jesse Arthur returns after a jaw injury, which set him back for about 8 weeks. Tristan Saylor's at the fullback position again. If you have any of those Willisons, just hold them for this week, and then we'll be ready to flick them off after the round 19 bye.
Another week of just watching our stories for late mail.
Yeah, big time. Knights, Eels, Englishman Will Price is set to make his NRL debut at 5'8". KPP returns, which is great news for everyone that held him. He has been named on the bench. Our mail was that he's going to be starting in second row, but he's been named on the bench there, which is a bit of a kick in the guts for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some great second rowers. Like, how good is Dylan Lucas?
Yeah.
So I think KPP will work his way back into the starting team, but maybe it's for Frizzell.
Yeah. Well, that's the news. Frizzell was going to go into like a middle forward position, and then KPP comes back to the edge. So we'll just wait and see on that one. There was a bit of news that Brennan Hands was going to be dropped for Matthew Arthur, who was going to make his way into the starting side for his debut as well. But it doesn't seem to be the case with Hands keeping the 9 jersey.
Yeah, Matty Arthur's on the bench.
It's just another tale of not buying Parramatta Eels players. I mean, Matto is still on the bench after Opgood's getting surgery as well. So.
I mean, historically, Brad Arthur was pretty toxic to fantasy and Supercoach players. He knew what he was doing.
Now Trent Barrett's the following sort.
He knew what he was doing. He capped. And Trent Barrett, just as bad by the looks of it.
Yeah, well, Mitch Moses has been named to back up, and I'd say he will back up considering it's a 5:30 game on a Saturday against Newcastle. Parramatta need to get their season on a roll. I wouldn't say they're out yet. I mean,
if they get the spoon, I think they're not that bad.
Look at their lineup. It's still they were in the grand final. We forget about this lineup. 2 years ago. They were in the grand final. They just got
some poorly timed injuries. I think I guarantee Matto's not at the Eels next year.
Yeah. I think this really proves how much or how good of a system is that Penrith system.
Yeah.
Because you just go through the list of the amount of players they lost after each grand final.
Yep.
and they're still in and about the top 8, top 4. So
yeah, it's just a sign of good coaching.
Good pathway system.
Young talent coming through. Like it would have been tough for the Penrith. Like they lost the grand final. You could have seen them just not really get to the same level, but they constantly improved. And the Eels haven't been able to replicate it.
I will say though, this is probably the most open the NRL competition has been in many years. I'd say. Like
I
few
agree.
teams could still get the wooden spoon. A few teams could still come out of the 8. A few teams could still go into the 8. I'm scared for the Dolphins. They've lost 4 over their last 5 or something like that, and they were well in the top 4. So
I think this year's proved how valuable a good coach is. Like Wayne Bennett, I wouldn't say the Dolphins have the best list,
he's
best team on paper, but he's just got aura.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys are going to come running red hot. They got 3 buys still, 3 buys, so that's 6 points.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this on every podcast in the last couple of weeks, but I said to get on the Rabbitohs to make the 8 at $25. They're down to 13, I think.
Wow,
actually 8, down to $8.
They don't have another buy, so they don't have any more free points. But you know,
I'm worried about
firing
Latrell
at the
not
right
being
time.
there, but they won on the weekend.
For the Storm, Raiders, Maroons pair, Xavier Coates and Harry Grant have been named to back up, which is huge news because Damien Cook has the bye, and a lot of people would have sold Harry Grant last week to go to Damien Cook, which would have been idiotic. Jack Howarth moves from the wing to the centre position. He was quite good on the weekend, wasn't he?
He was good. He's got some serious pace.
Yeah, for a big fella, he's quite a big man. And Sua Falonga goes on to the reserves after coming off the interchange last week.
I really think he needs a wing spot.
That is awful.
He is a joy to watch.
He's a star.
He's in his own in goal, and he's done 3 goosies.
In the in goal. If I am this new Bears Perth club or wherever you're going to be set up in the Papua New Guinea area or wherever, I would be having Falonga as your first signing.
There's 30 good fullbacks in the league.
Keeney, there's another one. I'd be
Blaze, Ora Talagi, Armstrong.
I don't know who, like, if you were to rank every single fullback in the NRL, it would be a tough list to rank.
All right, here's one. So I think that Sharks are at top of the ladder, aren't they?
No, Stormer.
Sharks are definitely up there. Would you rather Farlogo or Will Kennedy as your fullback?
Based off this year's performance, I'd like a far longer for sure.
I think I would as well. Not taking away from Will Kennedy, but like just the depth of fullbacks is incredible.
Yeah, it is. We'll have to do a list of them because it is.
Tier list. That's actually a good idea.
Look, the Raiders, after getting absolutely embarrassed by the West Tigers, haven't really made that many changes. Tom Starling comes in for Zach Wolford, and that's about it. Nick Kotrick's out. Albert Hopewadi takes his place, which is just bizarre for me because they were absolutely awful on the weekend. Good to see KO Weeks is actually trucking along nicely. He's 600K now, which is just bizarre. Started as 200K.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's got some serious pace. I don't really recall watching him at Manly much.
No.
But he's definitely improved a lot.
I did see mail this afternoon that
Red Dog
was coming back into the team, but there's no Red Dog here. I can't see a Red Dog.
So that's obviously good news with Tarpany and his
And
minutes.
he's not on the reserves either, so no Red Dog for the Raiders. Corey Horsburgh we're talking about there, obviously. Drags, Dolphins. This is a big game for the Dolphins, mate. Moses Sully returns for the Dragons. Ben Hunt, Jane Sewer, all named to back up along with Zach Lomax. And for the Dolphins, Hammer's been named to start at fullback. Kafusi and Tessinu is back into the side. TPJ will again come off the bench. Thoughts on TPJ's sort of performance on the weekend?
Probably needs to do a bit more fitness, maybe, but that's obviously to be expected. Like he's just come straight in, but I thought he was pretty good. He tried to get involved.
He did. I mean, just one like slight little movement from whoever he took out, was it Welch, to put on a report. If that's a high tackle, he's gone for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like this is the issue.
I mean, he's already gotten
TPJ,
fined.
so yeah, exactly.
If there's one coach who can get the best out of TPJ, then it's Wayne.
It is probably Wayne. Panthers, Cows. Now, always the Cowboys decide to put their players amongst the reserves list, which is just so annoying for fantasy coaches. Val Holmes, Murray Talangi, Tom Dearden, all been named in the reserves. No Jeremiah Nanai, which is awful for me. He's going to have to be a sell, unfortunately, with the Cowboys' bye schedule. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that is frustrating, isn't it? I mean, they have so many Origin players.
It was always going to happen, though. Like, they always do it. And like it's a Sunday.
Sunday game. It's
Sunday against Penrith. Surely you're aiming up. Like
Maybe,
you're outside
I guess
the
it
8.
depends how many minutes each of the players. Like if Cotter's churning out, 60 minutes in a tough Origin game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's frustrating. In terms of Penrith, Jack Cole gets his spot again.
Yeah, that's good news. I mean, he must be doing something right if Brad Schneider's getting left out because
-6 break even.
Brad was quite good for the Penrith Panthers before Jack Cole emerged. So I'm not sure what they see in.
I think
Cole.
Schneider should probably move to a different club, get a confirmed
Yeah,
starting
the Perth
jersey.
Bears, wherever they're going.
Yep.
All the Penrith players have been named to back up, which is great news as well for those that have them. That Nano one really hurts. I'd probably be waiting for the late mail. I wouldn't be surprised if all those guys are named to play, if I'm being honest.
I mean, out of the cows, like Drinky's still a decent option, but I'd probably avoid buying any of them this week.
Roosters, Tigers. Now, if you haven't got James Tedesco on your team, you're not playing fantasy right. He was very good on the weekend again. He's got a great draw coming up. Tedesco must buy this week.
Definitely.
Sam Walker was very good on the weekend again. I wouldn't be buying him, but I was just saying he's very good performance.
Yeah, another Queenslander. Terrell May as well. When this kid gets minutes, wow.
He's star.
He is. Is he one of the great PPM scorers fantasy's ever seen?
I think early days Payne Haas, great PPM scorer. Like if we're comparing Terrell May's PPM performance to
Paul Gallen having 3 carries every set.
Paul Gallen. I mean, a Summon Mannering comes to mind. There's another one.
Remember when Jackie Williams was on the bench one year and he was churning out 50s off the bench and then he gets a starting gig.
An 80-minute McInnes, that's another one they've been comparing him to. So
yeah.
I mean, I know one person in our friend group that's held him the whole time. So if you've held Terrell May the whole year, good on you because you deserve a pat on the back there.
Just hold him until after next Origin.
Yeah.
Like if players rest, then he'll get more minutes and bang.
Look, for the West Tigers, great to see this man back, Adam Dewey, into the side, scored a try. He outran. Who did he outrun to score a try with his third knee reconstruction? That's got to be some effort.
Who threw that ball? I think Rapana threw that ball. Rapana had a very weird
I think he ran down KO Weeks or something like that to score a try.
Yeah, he looked good. It's interesting how the Tigers look next year because they, Luai's been great at 7. That's undeniable.
Adam Dewey's 638k. I probably wouldn't be picking him up in the centres, but
yeah, that's a super pod if you buy him.
That's a super pod. Let's say he's in 0.2% of teams. Serious super pod, and the Tigers
2.2. That's high.
0.2. Right. I wouldn't be tipping the Tigers to score 40 points again this season, but you know he plays the bye round. So if you're looking for a pod option, there's definitely one there in Adam Dewey.
Finer's been good for the Tigers. Because I know Bateman's
very good.
included in the reserves, but I assume he takes Porter's spot over Finer, but he's been good.
Well, that's TLT done. I mean, just looking through our team, we're in a bit of strife with KPP on the bench because we have Fafita in our squad as well, who's on the bye, and Jaden Campbell. Obviously, Ruben Garrick's got the bye if you held him. We've also got Kelmatua-Lagi, which is just diabolical.
Campbell,
4 weeks.
Campbell as well could be out next week. I think metacarpal fracture.
Yeah.
So
it's not the worst thing.
That's not going to be a long-term injury. He's obviously a hold, and might even be a bye next week if he gets named.
Yeah, 632k is Campbell now. So if you jumped on him when he was 400k, you're laughing. He has a break even of 6. So if this week's not the one to get him due to the bye, and if he's not playing next week, he is definitely a bye in round 19 when they play that bye round. So look out for all those ones. Buy, hold, sell podcast will be Thursday after Origin.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'll quickly pose you this question. I'm just looking at him now. We'll talk about this at length in the Origin pod. But like David Fafita, if Queensland don't win, do we have to pick him? Or does he just not get picked ever?
Look,
it obviously depends how Nanai plays.
It's the old adage question, isn't it? Because I said this to Bence. I said, what's he done wrong? Like the stats, comparing the stats to Lukey, Catewell, who else is in there? Nanai. He outperforms them every time. He must be something to do with
it's just
culture or something like that.
It just feels like it's going against what our mantra is of
just picking the best players.
Picking and sticking. Like we won in the first 2 games with him last year.
It's also getting to a point where anything Billy Slater says about a player, you almost always question it because it's just complete bullshit sometimes. Like that Cobbo instance, like, just say he's not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. The mail is
Like,
going to come out.
The mail is going to come out that he's completely fine and he's going to be playing for the Broncos. So don't say he just needs a rest. Just say, hey, he's a young kid. He's 21 years old. We don't think he's up for it yet.
I've actually quite enjoyed Billy Slater's little beef with Madge they've got there, and his sort of him attacking Reedy. I love Reedy as a journalist, obviously. But I sort of like that. I feel like Origin, at least this year, is lacking a bit of beef between the players. So if the coaches are beefing, that's
good. That's good
that's
news.
just
Good,
as
good
good.
theatre. Good theatre. But with Cobbo, I thought Cobbo actually played quite well in game one. I think he had some really
maybe
good.
our top 5 players.
I think he had good moments. So for Billy to come out and say, "Oh, he just needs a rest, mate," just give it to him straight. He's a young kid. So, I mean, that's just our opinion. I mean, I'm sure there's bloody a real reason. I'm sure there's a real reason why he's not playing. But that's TLT done. We'll have an Origin podcast out on tomorrow before the game. It's going to be a great game. I can't really see Queensland going up 2-0, to be honest. I really can't see it. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Catch ya.